Once upon a time in a small village lived a boy named Jack with his mother. They lived in a humble cottage where laughter was abundant but wealth was scarce. Jack, a bright-eyed lad of 12 summers, was full of spirit and curiosity. His mother, a woman of resilience and love, did her best to provide for them both. But times were tough and their means meager. Their only source of livelihood was a sweet old cow named Daisy. But as the days grew colder and their reserves dwindled, Jack's mother made a tough decision. She gently told Jack, "My dear boy, we must sell Daisy. We need the money to buy food and firewood for the winter." Jack, although saddened, understood. With a heavy heart, he agreed to take Daisy to the market. On the way, Jack's path crossed with that of a mysterious stranger. Dressed in a cloak of many colors, the stranger had a twinkle in his eye and an air of magic about him. He looked at Daisy and then at Jack. A slow smile spread across his face as he said, "I see you're off to sell this fine cow, but what if I could offer you something better than gold coins?" Jack, intrigued and hopeful, asked, "What could possibly be better than gold coins?" The stranger reached into his cloak and pulled out 5 tiny shiny beans. "These, my young friend, are magic beans," he said, his voice filled with promise. "They hold the power to change your life forever." Jack, mesmerized by the beans and the thought of magic, instantly agreed to the trade. And so, Jack returned home, his pockets filled not with gold coins, but with 5 seemingly ordinary beans. Little did he know his life and his mother's were about to change in ways they could never have imagined. With a heart full of hope, Jack showed his mother the magic beans. His eyes sparkled with anticipation as he held out his hand, revealing the tiny, luminescent seeds. But his mother, weary from a day of hard work and filled with worry for their future, could not see the magic that Jack saw. In her frustration, she snatched the beans from Jack's hand and tossed them out of the window. She couldn't understand, Jack thought. She couldn't see the potential that these small seeds held. He went to bed that night with a heavy heart, his dreams filled with visions of what could have been. Meanwhile, outside, something extraordinary was happening. The discarded beans, now lying in the damp earth, began to stir. A soft glow emanated from them as they started to sprout, their roots digging deep into the ground. The magic within them was released, and they grew and grew and grew. As Jack and his mother slept, the sprouts transformed into a gigantic beanstalk. It twisted and turned, reaching higher and higher, its thick vines and broad leaves obscuring the night sky. The beanstalk was a sight to behold, its grandeur a testament to the magic that had brought it to life. All through the night, the beanstalk continued its ascent, its top disappearing into the clouds above. It stood tall and proud, a beacon of hope in the quiet village. As the morning light filtered through his window, Jack woke to an incredible sight, a massive beanstalk standing tall in their backyard. His heart pounded with excitement as he gazed upon the towering plant. The disappointment from the previous night was replaced with a sense of awe and wonder. This was not just a beanstalk, it was a symbol of adventure, a promise of something extraordinary. And little did Jack know, this was just the beginning of his magical journey. With a curious heart and a courageous spirit, Jack decided to climb the beanstalk. And so our young hero ascended, higher and higher, until he found himself entering a world far beyond the clouds. A world of grandeur and majesty, a world that housed the giant's castle. This was no ordinary castle, mind you. It was an edifice of towering turrets and sprawling courtyards, where the echo of silence was as deafening as a roar. There was an air of mystery within those stone walls, an enticing allure that called out to Jack's adventurous spirit. As Jack moved through the castle, he stumbled upon a room that held the giant's most prized possessions. The first was a hen. But this was not your average hen. This was a hen that laid eggs of pure gold. Each egg shimmered in the dim light, casting a warm glow that filled the room with a sense of wonder. Next to the golden hen was a harp, but again this was no ordinary harp. This harp had a life of its own, playing melodies so enchanting, so captivating, that Jack could not help but be entranced. The music was so beautiful it seemed to carry the whispers of 1,000 stories, each more mesmerizing than the last. Jack was absolutely fascinated by these magical items. The golden eggs promised wealth beyond measure, and the self-playing harp held the promise of endless entertainment. Imagine the possibilities. Jack could picture it all. His mother's face lighting up with joy, their life of poverty becoming a distant memory. But Jack knew he couldn't just admire these treasures. He had to act, and he had to act fast. The giant could return at any moment, and Jack didn't want to think about what would happen if he was caught. So with a quick thinking mind, Jack decided to take the golden hen and the magical harp back home. After all, courage and curiosity had brought him to the castle, but it would be quick thinking and determination that would carry him home. But as it goes, stealing never goes unnoticed. You see, giants, despite their size, are not without their fair share of sharpness. The moment the giant laid his eyes on the empty place where his golden harp once stood, he knew something was amiss. The giant's roar echoed through the castle, a bellow of rage that shook the very foundation of the towering fortress. His eyes darted around, quickly spotting our little friend Jack making a beeline for the Beanstalk. And so, the chase was on. Oh, what a sight it was! A cat and mouse game, but with a boy and a giant high above the clouds. Jack, swift from his youth and driven by fear, dashed down the Beanstalk, his heart pounding in his chest. Each leaf he passed was a step closer to safety, and each rumble behind him a reminder of the danger hot on his heels. Meanwhile, the giant, heaving with each step, pursued Jack with a fury only a giant could possess. His large hands gripped the Beanstalk, shaking it with his weight. But our Jack, he was nimble, he was quick. He reached the ground before the giant could lay a single finger on him. But he wasn't safe yet. With the last ounce of his strength, Jack picked up an axe lying nearby. His small hands, trembling with exhaustion, gripped the handle tightly. He swung the axe at the Beanstalk, each strike a plea for his life. The Beanstalk, once a symbol of magic and adventure, now stood between Jack and his freedom. And then the final blow came. The Beanstalk shivered and shook, groaning under its own weight. And then it began to fall. The giant, still clinging onto it, roared in disbelief as the ground rushed up to meet him. With a thunderous crash, the Beanstalk fell, and with it the giant. And just like that, Jack and his mother's lives were changed forever. From the depths of despair and the clutches of poverty, they had been lifted up by a handful of magic beans. Beans that sprouted into a towering beanstalk, a gateway to a world filled with unimaginable treasures. Now Jack and his mother didn't have to worry about where their next meal would come from. The golden eggs laid by the enchanted goose were more than enough to provide for them. They had food on their table, clothes on their back, and a roof over their heads. But the true magic wasn't in the golden eggs. It was in the melody of the magical harp. The harp strummed songs of joy and peace, filling their humble cottage with a warmth that was more precious than any gold. The music enchanted their lives, lifting their spirits and filling their hearts with happiness. It was a happiness that was infectious, spreading to every corner of their small village. But Jack and his mother didn't keep their good fortune to themselves. They shared their wealth generously with their friends and neighbors. They helped the poor, the needy, and the less fortunate. They became the beacon of hope in their small village, a symbol of kindness and generosity. Their lives were transformed, not by the golden eggs or the magical harp, but by their own actions. Their bravery, their quick thinking, their honesty, and their kindness. They had faced a giant, climbed a towering beanstalk, and returned with treasures. But the real treasure was the change within themselves. Their story is a testament to the power of bravery and quick thinking. It's a reminder that even in the face of giants, we can find our strength and change our fate. But it also teaches us that the real treasures in life are not golden eggs or magical harps. They are the acts of kindness, the gestures of generosity, and the courage to stand up for what's right. And the moral of the story, dear friends, is that bravery and quick thinking can change your fate. But remember, honesty and kindness are the true treasures that lead to a happy life.